In terms of unscripted content, this is probably going to be the most unbearable and the most annoying ones I've done. I cannot wait to make a lot of mistakes on this one. But hello everyone, and welcome to the room. This is a room, this is a chair, and these are my fingies. Yeah, that's something for you. Wow, what a great intro. Now obviously this is a little bit of an unscripted content type of video because we are going to be diving into some behind the scenes footage, and no, I'm not talking about some OnlyFans. But what I am talking about is some of the behind the scenes of what I do when it comes to reviewing a video game. Now obviously a lot of people don't really know what happens behind the scenes, and that's totally fine because not many people are supposed to know what happens, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that the people don't know just how much work there is to even go and make one single video game review. And I know the video game review genre has been overused throughout YouTube with hundreds and thousands of people coming on and claiming themselves to be video game reviewers. So when it comes to my method of video game reviewing, my methods are simple, basic, easy to follow, and it's just some of the things that I personally like doing. So on this video, I'm going to be going a step-by-step structure on how I go through the process of making a video game review. Let's begin with step number one, which is probably the most important step out of all of them, which is creating a YouTube channel. Yeah, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? But honestly, even I don't have to show you how to make a YouTube channel. You know, you go online, you youtube.com, sign up or whatever the fuck it is, and you basically just create your account. And then with that out of the way, we can then actually finally start with step number two, deciding what video game to review. Now, I do feel like it is important to decide what kind of video game you want to take a look at. So for me personally, I go through a video game that has the most type of content, not just within the game itself, but when it comes to making a video or something. Like, for example, how much gameplay does it provide, and what kind of funny bits slash skits could I do with this kind of particular game, you know, stuff like that. So for me personally, I try to stick to that topic, but as well as going through some of my childhood classics as well, games like Crash Bandicoot or Ratchet and Clank, because, you know, those are the games that mean a lot to me. So yeah, it is pretty important to try to find what type of video game you want to review. Now, it can be based on a number of things. It could be based on a game that is really, really bad, like the worst game of all time, or it can be based on a childhood game. For me personally, when I first started making reviews, I tried to go through as much childhood games as I possibly can. So I started off early with a few Crash Bandicoots and a few Ratchet and Clanks here and there because they were the ones that meant a lot to me. And then over the years as I go along, I try to find the ones that sort of has the most content within the game itself, so that I can just sort of nitpick and tear apart regardless if it's going to be positive or negative. So when it comes to deciding what type of video game to review, just make sure that you pick something that means a lot to you. So once you've decided what game to review... Oh wow, that noise is going to be the death of me. So once you've decided what kind of video game you wanted to review, then it's time to move over to step number three, which is recording the gameplay. And this to me is probably one of my favorite bits. It's probably the most easiest ones out of all of them, because all you do really is just sit on a chair or a bed or anywhere in particular, and you just play the video game while you're recording some footage. Yeah, that's pretty much that. But it does depend on what kind of recording devices that you use. Now for me personally, I've used the Elgato Game Capture HD60 for the longest time, and it works for me pretty well. So with modern games like the PlayStation 4, all I have to do is just hook it up with the HDMI cable and I'm good to go. But for the more of the older ones, like the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 2 console, what I'll have to do is get an AV to HDMI converter, so that way I can convert everything into one, so it will allow me to record some gameplay footage. But for the PlayStation 3, on the other hand, unfortunately it doesn't allow me to just straight up connect to the Elgato and be able to record footage from there. So with the PS3, what I had to do was I had to get a HDMI splitter for that one. But even nowadays, I don't really use an Elgato game capture nowadays. Is with the PS4 and the PS5, they have a recording system booted into the console, so all I have to do is just with a few buttons presses and I'm already recording some gameplay footage. And that's same with the PC as well. It has a recording system built into it called the GeForce, I think that's what it's called. And so it just allows me to record some gameplay footage just by pressing the keyboard. And even nowadays with the PlayStation 2, all I just use is the PlayStation 2 emulator. So when it comes to how long I record my video games, I don't do one long take of it, like recording a gameplay for multiple hours. I usually just do 30 minutes per video, so I just sort of record this bit here and there and then sort of label it just to make it more easier to find. And also, as I'm recording gameplay footage, it's important for me that I take notes as I'm basically playing through the game. So I'll just write different types of notes on my phone, regardless if it's something about the gameplay mechanic or if it's just some funny bit I want to talk about. And it's important to write it down immediately, because what happens if you don't, then you're probably going to be forgetting it. Like I have. A bunch of times. And basically, I just record as much gameplay videos as I possibly can until I have enough content so I can start on to the next step, which is step number 4, writing the script. For a lot of people, it's going to be a chore writing a script, but to me, I like writing a script because it really allows my creativity to come through and just be able to put words onto paper. It's just an endless amount of fun. And when it comes to what software I use for writing a script, I have used both the Google Documents and the Microsoft Word, but you know, it's just the same thing at the end of the day, so I guess it sort of depends on what you prefer. Now, I'm not really going to show you how to write a script because really, it's just some of the basic stuff you probably would have known back in high school. You just go through your work, you do your research, and as you're going through the script, you make sure that it makes sense and you go back if you make some mistakes or if there's a sentence that does not make sense whatsoever, and then a few tidy ups here and there and you're good to go. For me, writing the script will take around maybe 3 to 6 hours or so, depending on how I go when it comes to my creativity mind, if I feels like I've gone through some writer's blocker or something like that. But obviously, this is one of those steps you should really take your time and be patient with, because the more patient you are, the better the quality it'll come out. And of course, there is one major tip when it comes to writing a script, and unfortunately, this is something that I've come across, and I'm guessing this is something that other reviewers have come across, is that there is one thing that you cannot do is copy someone else's work. Because at the end of the day, people are coming around to see your video, not someone else's video. They're here to see your opinion, not other people's opinions. They're here to see your jokes, not other people's jokes. I've made that mistake before, shit happens, but of course it's always important to identify the mistakes just to make sure that it never happens again. So once you've done writing the script and double checking to make sure everything is nice, then you can move over to step number 9. Wait. 9. Fuck, that's not a fucking 9. Then you can move over to step number 5, which is recording the filming and the audio. And what I mean by filming is doing a bit of camera work. Now, when it comes to cameras, you technically don't have to do it if you don't want to. It is completely optional. If you are a bit shy when it comes to being in front of a camera and talking directly to the lens, then you don't have to really do it, but it does bring out a bit of personality to your YouTube channel. And for me personally, when it comes to camera work, I feel like it is absolutely important to make sure that you get the lighting correct, that you get your posture correct, your stance, making sure you're looking at the camera directly and not just someone who's just standing there from the back. Hello! And obviously when it comes to camera work, for me personally, I try not to just keep my arms straight and just talking to the camera. I try to use my hand gestures to sort of try to get the point across, but not only that, but it also helps me to remember some of the lines that if I potentially forget, or if there's a point I wanted to get across. These hand gestures has been an absolute blessing for me. and that is mostly being used for funny skits and all that. And the second type of recording is that I take the camera, I place it into just one location. It could be in a room, and it's just going to be me sitting or standing talking about the video game as well. Now usually the camera work, they can go between 20 to 40 minutes or so, and I guess it really depends if how well you're remembering your lines are and just how many mistakes or you've made throughout the process. But obviously, again, with camera work, you just want to take your time and you can do as many retakes as you want until you get the perfect type of shot that you want for your video. Now, when it comes to using your microphone, I did make a video many years ago describing about the microphone I use when it comes to making videos. Links in the description. So it is mostly the same thing as doing the filming with your camera, except with the microphone, you have to really use your voice to really bring out the message across. So say the script tells you to be angry, then sound angry. Or if the script tells you to sound sarcastic, then yeah, definitely sound as if you're being the most sarcastic person in the world. Because the point is to really bring the entire message across when it comes to a topic about a video game. The voice really says it all. And when it comes to recording the microphone, basically I just use Audacity, which is very, very easy for me to use. And I just do one long take of it, and that includes doing the mistakes, doing the long silences between each lines. And once that's all done, I will then pretty much just do a little bit of editing on it, removing some of the bits and pieces that I made mistakes on, until I have a long, clean take of just me talking about the video game on my microphone. And once all that's done, you can move over to step number 6, which is editing the video, which is the most annoying step when it comes to reviewing a video game for me personally. And that is mostly because I just hate looking myself while I'm talking. I don't know why, it's just a weird thing for me personally, so I feel like the longer I'm working on the video, the more irritated and frustrated I am. So yeah, when it comes to video editing, I'm not really going to show you how to edit videos, because really trial and error is all you really need. I first started video editing back in my TAFE class under Screen and Media, and when I got introduced to filming and editing a short film, I was sort of able to be able to learn a few things here and there, and it really did allow me to sort of grow to become a video editor. So, how long does it roughly take to edit a video game review? As long as it fucking takes. Seriously, it can range from around 10, 15, 20 hours or so, and that really does depend on what type of video you're making right from the get-go. And if you have ideas that you already know what you want in it, then it just makes the process a lot more faster. But of course, for me personally, I always go back on my work every single time just to make sure everything is absolutely perfect to my standards at least. Nice hand gesturing there. So once the video editing is finally all done, I will double check it just to make sure everything is perfect, and then I will render the video. And once that's done, you can move over to the 7th, I think we're up to the 7th, and final step of the video game reviewing process, and that is to edit the thumbnail. And yeah, this one is an easy breeze for me. Like, no joke, I don't really think too much about thumbnails. All it is for me is I just use a background picture, myself, the word review, the game of the logo, or the cover of the game itself, or maybe a character from the game, and then yeah, that's it. I mean, there's really not much to say on this one. I'm sorry to say that, but it's so simple for me to do thumbnails that I don't really think about it a whole lot. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention as well, with the video editing, I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and when it comes to the editing the thumbnail, I use the Adobe Photoshop. But of course, as I'm looking through the thumbnail, I might just sort of have a double check on it to make sure it looks a bit neat and tidy, but also may sort of play around with a few effects here and there just to make sure if I want to add this effect to it or not. So yeah, roughly the thumbnail will take me at least 15 to 20 minutes or so, and once that's all done, I basically just save it onto my computer, and then once all that's done, like, yeah. That's pretty much it. So I suppose with that being said, this sort of concludes the behind the scenes footage. Now I do sort of apologize that it's only just me sitting down here, but you know, again, I am slowly trying to get back into making content after a massive mental health breakdown. So for me it is sort of trying to regain my confidence back. So when it comes to video game reviewing, the whole process from the recording the gameplay, when it comes to writing the script, shooting the video, editing the video, it roughly adds up to a total of maybe 30 hours per video. And but that just sort of depends on the amount of gameplay footage I want to record. That I guess that sort of depends on that. Otherwise, if it's just a simple 3 to 4 hour video game, then it probably might be adding up to around maybe 20 or 25 hours. But as always, you know, the most important thing when it comes to making videos is to make sure you're having fun. For me, that is always the #1 priority when it comes to making videos on YouTube, is that you have to have fun while you're doing so, because if you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying yourself, then what are you doing? And it's always important to make sure you're happy with what you're releasing, because if you're not happy with the product, if you don't like what you're uploading, then what makes you think that the viewers are going to like your video? So yeah, thank you so much for watching the behind the scenes of how I structure a video game review. If you sort of want to see more behind the scenes stuff here and there, then feel free to comment down below. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss any video that I upload. And as always, thanks you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.